Hi, my name's Jill, and I am doing this GoFundMe campaign to get home, obviously. And I thought maybe I should give you an idea of who I am. My birthday is in August, and I was born in 1970. I, I'm getting close to 50. Um, I had my son when I was 16, and I was never married, and I basically lived my life for my son. Um, Growing up, I was an only child, but my parents, well, my father had given me a half brother and also some step siblings growing up, and I'm unfortunately not close with very many of them. Um, my mom is the oldest of nine. My dad's the oldest of three. And my mom's family is awesome. They are like a Leave It to Beaver kind of family, only modernized. So it's really cool. They really care about each other. They really um, they're there for you if you are there, and if you are not, they still love you. They just know you're doing your thing. So my parents got divorced when I was young. I was 4 or 5 years old, and but I spent time with I lived with my mom, but I spent time with my dad when he was around. He was a truck driver, and I spent a lot of time with my grandmother on my dad's side because I was the first granddaughter, and I was very close with my cousins, and my youngest aunt, because we were all very close in age, and the four of us did a lot together. I mean, very cool. Even though I didn't have siblings, it felt like I did a lot of times because of them. And I lived with my dad for a little bit. I lived with my mom. I mean, my dad got married, and then he'd be going through a divorce, and I'd live with my mom, and then I'd go back to my dad because he was in a different situation, and I'd go back to my mom, and it went back and forth. And um, basically, overall, I learned how to network with the rest of my family because sometimes the parents were busy. And with having such a large family, that's a skill I'm really grateful for. Um, I Job wise, I have worked in gas stations, I have worked in restaurants, I have bartended, I have been a service writer, I've cleaned. Oh my God, have I cleaned? I do office work of all kinds. I've managed offices. I've um, done a lot of scheduling and a lot of organization, and I worked for an answering service for a while. Um, I've I've had a lot of cool experiences, and I was even a toll booth. I worked for the toll operator for many years in the toll booth. That was cool. And um, basically, me personally, I think I'm a really well-rounded person. I'm very much into reading. I'm very much into learning new things. I really like documentaries. I like to be able to think outside of the box, which is a lot of where I think Dave got his thinking outside of the box from. Um, where I will come up with options, his father comes up with the yays and nays, and works it through. So um, Dave was well rounded too. Um, Basically, I owned an event center for a few years, and it was one of the best things I've ever done in my life. And I would work in an event center in a heartbeat right now. Um, I did 3-day music events where we had vendors and workshops, and we did a pig roast, and I had overnight bonfire with drum circles and fire spinners and kids programming, even though the kids didn't want really anything to do with it. And uh, I had volunteers that were helping, and so much behind the scenes. And basically I was doing that, and finally getting somewhere. But my partner had all the equipment, and he was done. He just couldn't do it anymore. So he did his thing, but that made it where 40 acres on the Chautauqua Ridge in Stockton, New York is 200 inches of snow, and I am not shoveling that. So I called up my friend Smokey, and he is one of my dearest friends, and he had me and my partner now, who was my friend, who was coming to stay with us to help us with the event center. And all of a sudden, we're down in North Carolina. I'm sorry, South Carolina, and we're trying to figure out what's going to happen, because I want to go back in the spring, but I don't have the equipment to do anything until I get there, and then try to talk to my friends from all the anyways. So we go down there, we go back in the spring, and there's black mold 4 or 5 feet high, and I am absolutely crushed. So I cancel everything. I go back down to South Carolina, and we stay for another year and a half. And I'm working for an online school, and Fritz is doing HVAC, and we're doing pretty good, but we're tight. We're really tight. We don't have a vehicle, because my vehicle, basically, I needed too much repair, and I didn't make enough money at the time. So luckily, Smoke was sharing his car with us when we needed it. We weren't crazy about it, but there were times. So anyways, so we're living down there, and we come back up to New York, and we bop around for a little bit. For probably another 2 years, we're up in New York, and then we came to California. And coming to California has actually been very rewarding in many ways. Dave's story is a little difficult, but Deborah Sue and her husband Richie and their dogs, their dogs, Gizmo and Winnie and little Nevaeh, and her youngest daughter Stephanie lives on the ranch also, and then she's got 3 other girls, and she's got 3 grandchildren from 2 of them, and it's a beautiful situation. The camaraderie and the girls, and they all get along, but yet they all have their own significant place in the family. And watching that has been very enjoyable for us, and bonding with them the bit that we have, some more than others, has been awesome. Like, I can't wait to come back and visit them. I think that'll be great. But they all have their own lives. And we came here, and we thought we were doing like the community living thing, where, because they lived up the ranch, we'd be doing dinners all the time, and we'd be hanging out all the time. And what it ended up happening is we spent more of our time down here to stay out of the way, so that she could get what she needed done. And basically, in the long run, we probably should have just tried to help or stay around. I'm not really sure, but we ended up we spend 95% of our time here at the trailer by ourselves. And there is no internet, and there's no cable, so it's stopping at the library, or it's using the hotspot on our phones. That's how I can work, is from the hotspot on my phone. And basically, when we came here the first time for the Rockstar weekend, he proposed to me. And when of course, I said yes. And we had been talking about it and stuff, so it's not like it was a surprise. It was just, when is it gonna become real again, you know? And we when we came back, we actually decided that we would have a December wedding here on the ranch, and we were basically going to do it for taxes, for insurance, um, for the paperwork right now, because it's almost tax time, and it's not like we weren't already working on planning a wedding in August anyways. So, and that's in New York. So we do, I call my godmother, my Aunt Mary Pat, and I asked her if she could come to the wedding, because I knew that my mom and her partner's ill, so she probably wasn't going to be able to make it. But I wanted to double check. Before I got everything settled, I wanted to make sure that my Aunt Mary Pat came out, and she did. I was so grateful. You have no idea how happy I was. And basically, it was his blood family. And he had his cousin Alex, who he had been writing with right since he started meeting Deborah Sue. And my friend Melissa, from when I lived in Virginia Beach, Fredericksburg. And this is like 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Her and I were friends, and then she ended up getting married 10 years ago, and that was the last time I had seen her. And then when she found out that I was coming across here and I was where I was, I'm only 2 hours away. So I was like, will you be in my wedding here? You know? And she was like so stoked, because the last time I had actually seen her was her wedding. So we did a small little wedding here, and it was basically a blur. It was cool. I'm still getting used to the idea. I am officially Jill Lundquist-Delaney, but until we really do the big wedding in August in front of all our family and friends, it doesn't totally feel right, but it is. But it is. I don't know how to explain it, because like our dream wedding's still coming up, so some of that has changed. The holidays were difficult without our family. I mean, his family's in Rochester, mine's in the Buffalo area, so between us, you know, being over here, it was a little strange, you know. And we didn't have a lot of money. We just moved here. We were just getting ourselves started. So, you know, Thanksgiving, we ended up doing it at some buffet country club thing, and that was crazy to us, because we're used to doing the family meal. And even if the family's not there, that means it's because we were working, or because we were doing something, because too many of our friends were alone, and we made sure that nobody was alone for the holidays. So when Christmas came, and the closest family that I've got here is my son, and he's missing. So my Christmas gift was to go look for him. That's what we did. And that's when the car broke down, and you know, and then we're trapped up on this mountain. And you know, I'm very grateful that Deborah Sue has been willing to take us to the store a couple times a week usually, or her husband will pick something up for us, and they've been helping us with groceries, and they've been helping us with supplies. And it's become the point where even if they don't say it, we feel like a burden. You know what I mean? Because we can't afford ourselves here, and we can't get off the mountain to do anything. And even the bus stops 10 miles down the road. I mean, it's not like we can just walk down the street and get there. So, being stuck, and then being stuck with Dave, which made it where one of us usually stayed home, and if we both went somewhere, Dave didn't leave the mountain until the last time we had a car. And we talked him into going off the mountain. I'm like, dude, you haven't been off the mountain in over a month. Let's go do something. Even if I think we drove into town to go get cigarettes or something. And that was as much as he could take. He wanted to be back here. He wanted to be settled in. So, and then obviously all these videos are all about what happened. So the past couple weeks we've been basically here, and we had given our landlord notice the week before because one way or another we were moving back to New York because we wanted to get him home and around family and us around family, so we had a better support group so that we could move forward to try to get him help. And I have to say, the couple experiences that we've had here in California, I want to go home where my records are. I want to go home where somebody understands that I don't play games about medical. I mean, when I say that there's a problem, there's a problem. I waited to come in here, trust me. And I just feel like we've been wrapped in cellophane, and we're a big rainbow swirly sucker that you used to get when the big lollipop that all I can think of is good ship lollipop. You know what I'm saying? This thing's, we looked like a sucker all the way around. While I'm grateful for the camper that we live in, I'm done with it. I'm done with it. And to know that we've been done with bugs, and basically I've had this other bug on me that I keep washing out, but I didn't know to get the comb and get all these eggs out. I literally have scars on the back of my neck, and I wake up and I look out there and all I do is see my kid, and it's time for me to go. It's time for me to go home. It's time for me to keep my job and go home and get in an environment where I actually have a spot to do my work and not have to be in circles, because right now I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Half my stuff's in the car. I sit down to work and I'm confused because I don't know where to start because nothing's in the right place. So it's been really hard, and it's time to go home. It's time to go home. I need my friends. I need my family. I need to get my cat home safely, and I've got my girlfriend Cat willing to come get us, and she's willing to help us load everything up. She knows that we've been going through all of this. She knows she's coming to get us because we need somebody that understands that we need to go home. So now all we have to do is get the funds together, and that's our goal, is by the end of the month, get out of here, and we'd like to get her on the road by the 23rd so that she can get here, so we can get out of here on time. So this is a pretty quick request, but this was a really hard thing to go through, a really hard thing to talk about, and a hard thing to relive. So any help would be appreciated. All right. Thank you very much.